Welcome to Memory Matters for All Ages. I'm Janelle Nichols from the Gables of Hudson Assisted Living Residence. I'd like to welcome back our speaker, Catherine Kilpatrick. She is a speech-language pathologist with over 40 years of experience. She is the author of over 30 publications and a national speaker. She has shared before on this program about a subject that's very near and dear to my heart, which is multitasking. And we are really in a multitasking, task-switching society.
Right.
And I think we don't realize oftentimes that what we do takes longer, adds stress, causes us to make more mistakes. And I know, Kathy, we've talked about this so often because of our work and our lifestyles. We've tried to become masters at multitasking. Sometimes I don't do so well. And I know with all that you do and working with your private clients also, and your speaking and your writing, you know a little bit about this subject.
Oh, yes. This morning, the phone rings as I'm leaving. I've got change of clothes that we're doing for the program, and then I had another bag with other things. So I looked and said, I can't take this phone call. I'm going to be running late. And so I'm looking everywhere for my other bag. And so I put the clothes in the car, and then I looked, and the bag was already on my arm. So, yep, and I thought, oh, we're doing multitasking.
Been there and done that,
right,
yes,
right.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'd like to give the audience today, and thank you for joining us. I've had several comments from folks who have been watching the multitasking and emails saying, oh yes, I'm learning something, and I think that's the great part about this. It makes me much more aware, and I had to laugh on the news this morning, NBC. They were talking about a family with young children that were going to go back to the way life was without technology in the 1980s, and they're moving up to the Toronto, Canada area, so I'm sure if you did a search on that, you could get more information. But what precipitated part of this was the fact that the dad wanted to take the kids out to play, and they were younger, and it was a nice day, and they wanted to work with their iPads. So kind of interesting, the awareness and the level that it's coming to. I want to give you a couple of things to think about today. First of all, TV contributes to this multitasking phenomena. That was what the research was saying back, late 90s, early 2000, and they were saying, you got the remote control, and we're away from the days when, we could just have to get up and switch the channel and all of that. And then as a result of that, teachers were being told that they had to change how they taught every 20 minutes to keep the students engaged. So it's like, okay, we need to be happy and have something fun, and we can't just stay on task with something. So I thought that was a very interesting thing, 15 years ago when I started doing the memory programs. I want to give you some research today, and next month we're going to talk about multitasking etiquette and ethics, so stay tuned for that one. But I'm going to refer to some of the information on here. There was a research study done on cell phone usage by some associate professors at Kent State, which is in our area. And they focused on the segment of the population with the greatest cell phone usage, okay? And this happened to be college students, and those with the highest usage, are you ready for this? An average of 14 hours a day is spent on cell phone.
That's incredible, absolutely incredible.
When do you sleep? When do you
that's
eat?
just
What do you do?
when do you do anything else?
So the study showed that they were less fit than those with less usage. And the tests that they used to simulate the stress test measures were things related to cardiorespiratory fitness. So pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
Another study, this was just in January of this year, and it was in the Journal of Experimental Psychology. How often do you check your text, your phone, your emails? It only takes a few seconds, but it's enough to ruin your train of thought. And we all know this. You were doing something, you may check it, you may not get engaged in something, but then when you come back, that's like a distraction, and we've talked about that before. It can double your mistakes. So you're absolutely right, Janelle, because it's an attention grabber, and what it does is it takes your mental energy, and so you shift that focus. So those are some things that we really need to pay attention to.
Well, the phone situation is incredible, and I know that at the Gables of Hudson, we as employees are not supposed to carry our phones. We also employ a number of young people in our dietary department, and we employ a lot of college kids, and we try to enforce that because you're not focusing. They are on their phones, constantly looking, constantly checking. So it is really a change from when we were even that age, the way society has changed. And I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I just heard a speaker the other day. He's an educator, and he has 4 children, and he's constantly at home trying to get his kids to read more, get off the cell phones, get off the computers, get off the iPads. And his daughter was so frustrated. She said, "Dad, you just don't understand what my life is like now. You didn't even have TV when you were growing up." And he said, "I can assure you we did have TV. We had 3, 5, and 8, but we had TV, by golly." So it is just a different world that we live in. Multitasking is really a big part of it.
What do you notice since we've been doing these talks in regard to the multitasking for yourself? I know that it has made me more hyper-vigilant. And one quick thing, you know, I'm clearing out my house of 35 years, and there are just hundreds of boxes in the basement with books that I've written and, you know, scripts and, you know, all of that, and talks and paperwork from home health. And I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. And it has made me, because I have become so organized on another level, that I'm becoming almost a little bit over-so in my daily life. So it's a good thing, because I think, you know, I can be helpful to others. So what have you noticed?
I have noticed that I am trying to be more aware of slowing down. I messed up just the other day. I have my cell phone laying on my desk at work, and I always have it by my purse so I don't walk out with it. I moved it in a rush, and I walked out without my cell phone. And again, an interesting point, I about cracked up for 24 hours till I could get back to work and get that cell phone. We don't have a home phone now. We canceled that.
Oh.
So I relied, my husband had his, of course, but I'm trying to slow down. That's when I make my most mistakes, is when my mind is going 100 miles an hour. I'm trying to slow down and stop. All right, you've got your phone, you've got your purse, you did fax that before you left, and you made that phone call. Trying to slow down a little bit. So you are helping me too.
Good.
And I think this research that you mentioned is something that gives us pause for thought. And I do want to tell our listeners that at the end of the program, we do have information there, Kathy's website, the Gables website. You can go on there for more information about this topic. You can also pick up the link to the blog. I subscribe to the blog, of course. You can subscribe through that website information. Or you can email Kathy or go on an RSS feed. Now, our webmasters tell us that everybody knows what that is. But anyway,
I finally
you can
figured
go
it out,
on
and
to
I
an
get an
RSS feed
now too,
so okay.
I'm feeling in the groove here. Okay.
Very good. All right, what suggestions? You always send us on our way with something meaty that we can take with us for the week. What do you have for us?
All right. Speak up. Tell people I need to finish what I'm doing, or this is not a good time. If we're more aware, then we can set some better boundaries when someone is interrupting us. We teach people how it's okay to treat us. And, you know, in the days when we had phones at home rather than cell phones, even parents would often have the kids start to bug them when they were on the telephone, and it's like, okay, this is something we need to teach them. So if you're in your office, with your friends, whatever, one very important thing, okay? You may need a rule about, you know, having the phone off during a meal, putting it in the other room, or, you know, whatever it is you need to do to kind of protect your space and allow yourself not to have that 3-second distraction that then you go back and you might have missed that detail you were holding up here with that distraction, which can be a real issue. And then there's an interesting book you might want to look at, and I'll make sure that it's on the blog. It's called Hamlet's Blackberry, and this gentleman talks about the history of all of this technology, and also how, centuries ago, when the printing press came out, people were distracted with all of this other information.
Right.
So this is not the first time it's happened. It just is probably happening a lot quicker. So we need to pay attention to that. And then, like this family that's doing this in Canada, they're giving a break from emails and texting. When the reporter went in, he had to leave his phone in the car. They're watching things listening to things on cassette instead of having, books on CD or on their iPad or whatever.
I remember cassettes.
Absolutely. All these cute little things that, we go back to. I mean, I have my VHS, but I don't have my Betamax anymore.
Right.
But I still have my VHS. I still have the record player. So it's been kind of an interesting thing to watch what's going on with them. So if you're doing things like that, maybe take longer breaks. Maybe you check your email every 2 minutes. Now, if you're expecting a text or something as to where to meet someone or something like that, well, watch the driving thing, folks. That's a whole different story. But sometimes it just becomes an automatic habit, and we're checking and checking when we don't need to do that. So maybe extend the time in between a little bit more and become kind of unaddicted to the pattern that you have.
We have a friend that if you go to her home, if you are an acquaintance of hers, a friend or family, she has a basket sitting by her front door, and you know what that basket is for. That's where your cell phone goes when you get there. I think all of us have said at one point, boy, I long for the good old days. I wish things were, the way they were when we were a kid. Those days are gone forever. And the point that you made is how fast everything is moving now. The new iPhone comes out, how quickly it is outdated. Right. The new iPad comes out, how quickly that is outdated. Things are moving at a rapid pace. It really is the Jetsons. We're living. So, Kathy, thank you so much for those suggestions. And again, thank you for helping me personally. I am using these
me too,
and being more aware, too. Again, make sure you look at the end of the program for the information. We've only got 15 minutes here to chat, but there is a wealth of information on Kathy's websites, the blog. You can sign up for that and just receive those automatically. So take a look at that at the end of the program. And just really appreciate the suggestions today. Gave us a lot to go on for the week. And I guess I'll see you next week then.
Well, I have a couple of ideas to leave with.
Oh, you have
just
a
real
couple
quick.
more things?
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We're talking about us doing this, but we need to be sensitive to the older adults that we're around and our multitasking and what, especially if someone has dementia, how that might be very irritating to them, never mind strange. And so I'd like to end with a quote by Lee Iacocca. He gives good advice. He knows his stuff. The ability to concentrate and to use your time well is everything.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for joining us. Now go and make it a great day.